I feel like my art got worse in 2018, and I'm not really happy with it. I moved to a different town or a different city because I wanted to go to college. That did not work, and I was just, when that failed in the fall of 2018, I was left kind of trying to figure out my life. And part of it, I decided was, well, what if I pursue art? What if I try doing art commissions and stuff like that? And bless the people who supported me and actually commissioned art, which I'm not including commissioned art in the highlight reel. I was not good enough for that. I tried, and admittedly, looking back at that has been kind of a sore spot. You know, with the self-doubt I've dealt with the past year, and just a few months ago, not even a few months ago, I think like a month ago, having a moment where I stopped and I thought, I struggle so much with art, and I think my art is so bad. Who am I to think I could ever do art and sell prints and sell stickers and stuff like that, which is something I want to do. But I just completely doubted myself, and I was like, maybe I should just give up drawing. Maybe I'm being absolutely delusional. Looking back at 2018, hit that same nerve, because that was the last time I had that idea of like, okay, well, college didn't work out, so what if I try being an artist? And looking back at the art I did at the time that I thought would kind of like help launch me as I was working at that, I'm like, oh song, you're it was not good enough at that time. But let's get into it. This one, first piece of the year, uh, I didn't sign or date it, so I'll edit in the date on the screen. There was something about the way I was doing faces at the time. I don't know what it was. It was just wrong, and it led to these weird angles, and I don't know what happened. I don't know how I got there in my art, but it is a problem that will persist for years. A few years ago, I went back to try and redo this one and quickly realized the anatomy is just a mess, and I didn't have. I gave up because I didn't know how to fix it. This one. Okay, so despite everything I just said about 2018 in general, this one. When was this? February 7th, 2018. So this was before I tried going to school and stuff like that. I was preparing to try, essentially. And like this one is just okay. Like there's still issues with the face, although I think like almost everything else about it is good. But for some reason, I've never quite known how this happened, but my boyfriend ended up showing it to one of his art teachers at school because he was taking an art class for the credit. He ended up showing it to his teacher, and apparently she made a comment about whatever I do going forward, it should definitely include art. So looking at this one just always makes me feel like, okay, I can do this. I may be struggling at some points, but I can do it. I don't think my boyfriend has any idea, unless he watches this, just how much that little interaction affected me. This is the first time I drew Runa with Rooney. Again, not great. I was still very much leaning into that sailor pinup. There's parts about it that are good. There's parts I definitely would do different now. But I'm gonna say it's okay. Unlike this one, June 3rd, 2018. At this point, I was working a factory job to try and save for school. So I was working either 12-hour shifts or 10-hour shifts, and I was having to wake up at 4 in the morning, so I was not getting enough sleep, which is probably part of why this one is so bad. I think it was based on a picture of a photo of Marilyn Monroe that I found, and I was trying to reference it, and it just did not come out the way I would have liked. This one, again, is fine. This one was from September, and I actually remember the first week I was going to class, because I went to school for like a week. I remember sitting waiting for my first class to start and drawing this at the table, and specifically working on like the colors. I'm including it here mostly because one, the water actually looks wet, and I'm proud of that. Two, I put a lot of work into the water droplets, and even just like her dress kind of floating around her in the water. There's stuff about this I like. There are definitely flaws, especially in the anatomy and the face, but also her hair looks wet. And I'm really proud with how some of the details came out. This one, at the time, after I decided college was not going to work, and I was starting to draw more, and trying to figure out my life, one of the things I did was I was looking at Bruce Timm sketches, and I was trying to imitate the poses in my own style, and especially just capturing like the way the body flows and how effortless he makes it look. This is the one I put in my highlight reel for two reasons. One, because I think it came out really well, even among those sketches. But two, this is the first piece I've drawn of Catherine. And if you've been here long enough that you were here like when my books were still out, or if you've even just been following my art for a while, you know Catherine. And you'll also probably realize this is not what Catherine looks like now. So it was the first time I drew Catherine, which is notable. The sketch itself came out really well. And the hair is a little stiff, but like I think I got the anatomy down pretty well. I don't know. I'm happy with that one. Unlike this one, and like this is the one that really hit that nerve that I was talking about earlier. This was November 27th, 2018. I had dropped out of college. I had no idea what I was going to do with my life. And I decided, hey, what if I pursue art? And this was supposed to be my big illustration to launch that, I guess. And I'm looking at it now like, oh, it's better than some of the stuff I did. But it's also certainly not big enough for what I wanted it to do. And this would be the last piece I did of the year. Another sailor-themed Runa pinup, at least with that dress. I drew her in that dress a lot. I wanted that dress. I designed that dress, and it never existed in real life, but I wanted that dress. But yeah, I finished the year with a Runa pinup. Again, whatever I was doing with the face, this one is actually okay. The face came out all right. It's not perfect, but this one, I'm going to say this one is passable. And yeah, that brings us to the end of 2018. A very interesting year for me overall, and up and down artistically. On to 2019. 2019 was the year of the Barbarian. In late 2018, I started reading the original Conan stories by Robert E. Howard, which I highly recommend. I love his writing. And that definitely influenced my art, and you're definitely gonna see that all over it. I'm trying to think if there was anything else notable about 2019, but not really. It was just a year. The first piece of the year, done in January. I did mention in my 2010 video that I would eventually get better at drawing snowy trees in the background. And that's one good thing about this piece, is the snowy trees and the snow outside look pretty good, and so does the candle and the wreath and the ribbon around the wreath. That looks fine. Everything else is bad. The background looks good. Let's keep going. This one, okay, this one's unfinished, and I'm trying not to include too many like unfinished or just sketch stuff in the highlight reel, but this one, I'm highlighting it because one, is it the first Barbarian piece? Yes, it's the first Barbarian piece inspired by Conan. Two, I tried so hard to finish this one. I had this grand image in my head of what it should look like when it was done, and it just never happened. I have come back to this one multiple times and tried to add a background and tried to finish it as an illustration. It's never happened. Still, I think it deserves a highlight because, one, I put a lot of work into it, and two, it just feels like a landmark in my art. So, and it's my reel. Who are you to judge what I put in my reel? This one, just a background. Technically, it was a background for a commission I did. The overall commission was, as I have said, bless the people who supported me enough to commission me back then. That was charity on their part, quite frankly. But this one, I drew the clouds, and I'm still so proud of how the clouds came out. This is the kind of thing that when I first discovered digital art and I saw what artists could do, this was the kind of thing I dreamed of drawing, was these clouds and just the layers of color and all that. And yeah, I'm still very proud of that. Carolyn returns. Hello, Carolyn. And this time this was the first finished and colored sword and sandals style art. The face is not good. Most of the body is not good. The only thing that's actually kind of good is like the shading on her thigh, which also does not match the shape of her body. But I put a lot of work into it, and at the time I was really proud of it. This one also, very proud of it at the time. I thought this was so good back in the day. Oh, Catherine. I don't do character design sheets often. I always think that I should. It's like this was an attempt at doing that. The proportions are so wonky. I don't even know what to do with that. So we're moving on quickly. So I did the design sheet for Catherine, and I decided to do Madeline as a dancing girl. This was before I decided that Madeline's color scheme was going to be pink. And so she's in blue because I thought that would match her hair well, which it does. But besides the point, I spent a lot of time working on this, especially doing like all the coins on the outfit, some of which look better than others. I definitely think of the two, the Madeline one is better. This one, finally drawing Runa again. I remember referencing a photo of an old Hollywood starlet, might have been Veronica Lake. I wasn't using line art at the time, so it's all just done through shading. This was like the one piece where I feel like I actually made that work, and I feel like I had dark enough shadows that technically the shadows look like line art, but it at least creates some distinction between the elements. I have such mixed feelings on this one because like I think it's okay. And especially like the arms and the hands, I'm happy with. I don't really like the face, and I think the hair is neither here nor there. So I've never been super happy with this one, but I also, compared to some of the other stuff I did that year, I think it was okay. 9 months. 9 months was how long I spent on this piece. And you know what? It was worth it. Like, over the years, because when I finally finished this one, obviously so proud of it. I was like, this is the best thing I've ever drawn. This is amazing. Over the years, I've gone back and gone, oh, well, that doesn't look good, and that's wrong, and that looks really bad, to all these little things. But, like, overall, I think it's good. Not perfect. Obviously, there are still things I think could be fixed and that are just outside my skill set. But overall, I think it's good. Especially like the detail on his sword, because there's all this embossing on the blade and the handle, and all the chainmail and the scales on his armor. And it's also the first time I drew Richard and Philippa. I don't think I've drawn them together aside from this. I have a few ideas for illustrations of Richard and Philippa together, but this is the only one I've actually drawn. And it took me 9 months, and it was worth it. At some point, I took a break from Conan the Barbarian, and I watched Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And I decided Jessica Rabbit was going to be my entire personality going forward. And so, of course, I had to draw Runa as Jessica Rabbit. Also, Runa, who are you fooling? You are not that skinny, and neither are you that tall. So this one, Throthgar and Carolyn again, I've drawn them quite a bit. And I think this one is just solid. This was like a Christmas piece I did, I think. Not very Christmassy, but like I put a lot of work into the musculature of his legs and the pose overall, and I think the anatomy is pretty solid, all things considered. So I'm happy with this one. This one I'm including here because this is Catherine. And if you're new here and you saw the sketch I did of her in 2018, this was where I figured out Catherine's design. This is where I got her coloring down. It's where I got pretty much everything set. And I was also starting to lean more towards a fantasy vibe in general instead of just like the sword and sorcery stuff. And I was so proud of this at the time. The arm is like the only thing I take issue with at this point, I think. This picture would be revamped, but we will get there. Here's Madeline again, looking cute. This one is fine. Overall, I think I had a reference for the background, especially with like the pillows and the blankets behind her, but I didn't understand what was happening, so I was just kind of copying the shapes, and that's why it looks a bit weird behind her. And I was just trying to make the blanket work so I didn't have to draw her fingers or her feet. But aside from those errors, and that, I think this one is pretty solid overall. I still hadn't quite figured out her color scheme yet. I mean, speaking of Madeline wearing green, shocking. This was my big Christmas piece for the year, and Madeline looks fine. She is not that tall, but the big thing that always stands out to me with this one is the wreath. And like, I specifically remember drawing a pencil sketch of it. I think I was even following a tutorial from a book on how to draw flowers. So I drew this one in pencil and then took a photo and did it digitally. And I'm looking at all the detail in like some of the stuff in the background of it, like the evergreen branches. I definitely copy pasted some of those. But like, I put so much work into the flowers and there's so much detail. And like some of my other past flower stuff, I'm looking at it going, I don't do that kind of detail now. What happened? I need to start doing that again. But yeah, that was my last piece of 2019. And it's not a bad note to end on. I mean, especially compared to, like I said, I include the first and last piece of each year to show like how my art developed over the course, and especially comparing like the first piece of 2019 to the last piece of 2019, I think there was definite improvement, and I can definitely see growth here. And after talking about how looking back at 2018 hit a sensitive nerve for me, being able to see the evolution here does make me really happy.